Hi, I'm Maggie Marr, founder of Maggie Marr Legal Solutions for Creative People. I'm also a USA Today bestselling author of over 25 books. So, I wanted to talk a little bit today about vendor agreements and how important they can be for authors as they build and continue in their publishing empire. So, what is a vendor? A vendor is anyone who provides goods or services to you in your business. So, some of the vendors that I think of when I think about an author business or an independent author business is a cover designer, an editor, a ghostwriter, um, audiobook, a translator, any of these individuals who are providing goods or services to you and your business. So, why are vendor agreements important? One of the reasons that vendor or any agreement is important is that it puts in writing the understanding between two parties, right? So when I say understanding, elements that are important, how long is the agreement for? What are the deliverables? Meaning, what is the work that the vendor is meant to do for you as the person who's engaging them? So, what is the work that they're going to do? How much are they going to get paid? What are the expectations as far as when they're going to deliver things to you as a business owner? So, I know from my own business as an author that oftentimes didn't have vendor agreements because, working with people that I've worked with for forever. But what I'm starting to see on the other part of my job is that as independent publishing becomes more and more business oriented and less sort of just people trying it out, we're working with people that maybe we don't have a personal relationship with in quite the same way that we did before. And even if we did, everybody's business is growing so much. So it can be really helpful to write down or put in writing the elements of the expectation in the agreement between the different parties. Let's maybe use as an example if you're working with a cover designer. So one of the reasons that I would say that you might want to have a standard vendor agreement that you as the author who is the owner of your own publishing house has an agreement with your cover designers for a number of reasons. You want to lay out how much are they going to be paid? When are they meant to deliver the cover to you? Who owns the cover? Does the cover designer still own the cover and they're licensing to you the right to utilize that cover? And if so, how long is the license for? And what are the limitations? Another question that you might want to ask with the cover design is, where did the image that the cover designer has used come from? And what are the licensing restrictions with regards to that image? Meaning that, can you only sell up to so many copies of your book before you could be running afoul of the licensing agreement from wherever your cover designer got the image? So I would say that you want to cover all of those things in your agreements with your cover designer. The same would go with an editor. You want to lay out sort of when they're meant to edit, what are the terms, how much are you going to pay them, how are you going to pay them, things like that. Or do they have any claim to the edits that they have done for you? Again, these are just ways for both parties to have clarity around what they're providing and who owns what. It's been my experience over time that oftentimes people don't do these agreements and they don't become that doesn't become problematic until it is problematic. And at that point, you really wish you had an agreement. So what you can do as an independent author who has their own publishing empire is to create standardized agreements for your own company that says exactly what you as the person running your publishing company wants it to say, right? So say you're commissioning a cover, but you want to be the owner of that cover. You would want to put all of that in your vendor agreement, and then you would convey it to any cover designer that you're working with, and the cover designer would come back and either agree or not agree to the different elements of the agreement that you send to them. That being said, depending on how much you want to work with that individual, you may be willing to modify or change the parts of your agreement that are the parts of your agreement that the other side would like to have changed. So this can be just kind of a best practices and something that you may want to think about as your business continues to grow. Because inevitably what happens as your publishing empire grows is that there are a whole lot of things that you're keeping track of, right? Like you've got cover designers, you've got editors, you have translators, you may have business affairs, you may have accounting, you have all kinds of individuals and vendors that you've got to understand what's going on with each of them. So if you kind of have your standard list of vendor agreements or your standardized vendor agreements, you know from your perspective what's important for your company. So again, just some knowledge for you to take and utilize. Thank you so much for listening. If you liked the video, please press like. Also, if you would subscribe to our channel or my channel, then you'll get a little pop-up whenever we have a new video. We're trying to do one once a week. We hope that they're helpful to all of you. Also below we've put a link to my newest books to film, What Every Author Needs to Know book, which I think is very helpful as far as authors who would like to see their books moved into the film and TV space. We also have a link to our newsletter and a link to indie author checklist, which are some things that, as a representative of some independent authors, I believe can be important and helpful to you in growing your publishing